Hello, thanks for watching Charter Local Edition Northwest. Today our team is in Grand Ronde, Oregon, and we're covering the 2015 Coastal Economic Summit. I'm Dana Cowley, your host today, and my guest is State Senator ARNIE ROBLAN. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you very much, actually, for having us here and being here at the conference to talk to a lot of the participants. It's really a help to the whole conference.
Well, this is a passion of you. Your staff works so hard for it. Why is this important to you?
Yeah, you know, when it first started, it was 4 years ago, and I had come back from a conference when I was the co-speaker down at UCLA, and it was an economic summit, and talking about education and how it makes a difference for communities that have good economic development. They have good educational systems. And so I came back, and my staff member was a UCLA graduate, and she said, I want to look at that notebook. And I said, sure, here's the notebook. And she looked through it, and a couple days later she said, you know, could we do something like this maybe for our coastal people? And I thought, no, we possibly, but I'm not quite sure. It wouldn't be the same kind of thing that we were talking about there. But the idea of taking the opportunity to bring statewide and federal politicians to the coast so that our coast people felt like they were coming to them as opposed to us always going there, really appealed to me as a legislator and someone who wanted to engage that. So I talked to the rest of the Coastal Caucus because I figured if we were going to do this, it shouldn't just be our constituents. And in doing so, the other Coastal Caucus members at first were a little skeptical as we started to flesh out the idea, and they came to the first one that took place in Coos Bay. They all got the idea and said, this is really important. And a lot of their constituents that came kept saying, that was really great for us. Are you going to do it again? And that's when we had to decide if we were going to do it again and how much effort we were going to put into it. But as the year went on and we had those conversations with each other in the Coastal Caucus and with my staff who really do a lot of the background work, which is really difficult to get people to commit to be at a place. And then we had to figure out how do you fund something like this? Because you know what's going to happen. You know, we serve meals and we expect people are going to have to pay their own housing, but or were there ways to do that? And so the first one we had at a tribal casino in Coos Bay, the Wells, and they basically said, we'll cover those costs. We would like to have the people here that much. You know, inviting your Senator Merkleys and your Wydens and others people to come and have a conversation with our community was really important to us, and important to us as a tribe as well. So that gave us the idea that maybe we should talk to the other tribes and see if they would be interested. And
it's a great networking opportunity.
It was perfect. And my district, which is the center of the Oregon coast and into part of the valley, there are 4 of the 9 recognized tribes. And so we started having this conversation, and once that happened, since there are 4, it was kind of like, well, I guess we're going to do this for at least 4 years. We need to be fair across the line. And
of course.
And each year it grew with the participation of people. And it was easier and easier to talk to people in agencies and others to come because they realized it was really a friendly environment. There weren't people here that were trying to, you know, get you, gotcha, whatever. What they were really wanting is, tell us what you do.
Oh yes,
tell us.
Networking, looking to connect, ideas, sharing. I think you've really got something going here where you have people thinking of more of a whole instead of just small little communities where your resources and your people are spread so thin.
Yeah, it's about recognizing we are a region, you know, and when we look at Oregon, the Oregon coast is considered its own little region because we're separated by this coastal range, and then it's us on the coast. And we have a lot of similarities, you know, fishing and logging industries have been the big ones. Tourism is another one that goes up and down the coast. And so all of a sudden people recognized that when they were there with mayors and city council members, because that's who we really looked at as our market. It was kind of like, how do we help local government people interact more efficiently and easily with each other and with state government. And so we started inviting agencies. We started asking, what kinds of things would you like to know about? What would be interesting to you? And who would you like to get to know? And that led to making panels, and it created the next problem, which Rosie and the staff had, and that is, how do we limit this? I mean, there's so many people to ask, and there's so many times, and how much time does it take for a panel to get through, and if you how many people are you going to put on a panel? Because people offered themselves up, and as I was saying today when the governor came, that first session, Rosie had sent out a deal to statewide saying, we're having this Coastal Caucus Economic Summit. We'd really love to have some of you here. Anybody want to be a part of it. And the first person to come back was our Secretary of State, Kate Brown, and who said, I'd love to be a part of this. This sounds like a great idea. And Rosie was saying, you know, it's those kind of things that make you excited about asking the next person. Because when you get the no's, it's really hard to get on the phone and ask the next person.
It sure is.
When
Takes the wind out of your sails.
Yeah, when you get the enthusiastic yes, well, I'm going to ask the next person. And if they don't want to do it, it's their problem, not ours, because we've already got somebody. You know? So it is how do you get that to work? And it continued to grow every year. And at the end of the session, every time Rosie will say, I don't think we want to do this next year. It's just too much work. I'm just dead. And then I say, okay, we just won't do it. And then a little while longer, and she'll say, you know, what about that coastal? I said, I thought we decided you weren't going to do it. And she said, well, you know, there's a lot of reasons why we should do this.
We should.
And I said, well, let's think about it. Let's ask some other people. And pretty soon it's kind of like, yeah, we got to do this, you know. So, and then you get away from it for a while, and you start building the energy back. And then when you start talking to people, you start seeing their enthusiasm about wanting to do it and wanting to share. And there's a lot of information out there that it's difficult to get out to people without talking to them. And so it gives you a format where you can actually see these people, understand that they're just people like us. They want to get their information out. They want to be helpful. And now you have a face and a person to put with an issue that you might have in your local area, and you know who to call. And that's the part that has been the most exciting to me, to watch the work that's happening in the hallways.
Yes.
Because we don't give a lot of break time, so there's a lot of stuff going on, but they'll find the time to go out in the hallway and have that conversation with that person that wants to. I was talking to one of the governor's people today, and I said, so how's it been going for you? And he said, I've got 4 days worth of work done in the last 2 hours.
Oh, wonderful.
And he says, because if you have to try to get a hold of these people from all the different parts of the coast, to have a conversation with them, your secretary's calling them, setting up an appointment, you're getting an appointment, you're scheduling your time around it. You have to get ready before and after to recognize you got a little bit of time there.
Sure.
And he says, when it's here, they're just here. We walk out in the hallway, we can get some work done. I can tell them something I've been meaning to tell them. It really expedites some of that kind of stuff. And then
delightful for us.
Yeah, good for you.
Works
and
for
it just
us.
makes the relationship stronger.
Yes.
Because now they're saying, he wasn't ignoring me, he just didn't have time, and now he had the time, and here we are having this conversation. And it's good for the whole Coastal Caucus to have that impact and information with their constituents. And you know, there's these arbitrary lines that is the border of my district and the next district. But they're just arbitrary. They just happen to be, that's how many people we were. And this kind of blurs the lines and lets people know we're all here together to work on this. And if we get together, we can probably solve the problem. And that's been a nice thing about the Coastal Caucus.
Well, I have one last question for
Sure.
you. You've been working this very aggressively and very successfully for 4 years. What economically have you really seen come out of this for your communities?
Yeah, I think that's a good question.
End result.
You know, I would say that there's little projects that are getting done, there's little things that are happening. There's a belief, I believe, in a lot of the coastal communities that our time is coming. I heard that on the conversations today. Regional Solutions is coming into its own and working. You're getting communities that talk to each other that hadn't talked to each other. We're slowly coming back on the coast. We need to keep building it. We have a better understanding of our fisheries. The governor mentioned it, you know, 17 different certified products in the ocean now, more than any place else in the world. The people are doing things and recognizing that we can make a difference, and that their individual efforts, opening that one little store and hiring 2 people, is really what economic development is like on the coast. Making sure that our tourism industry has the things that it needs, being one of the 7 wonders of Oregon in the commercials. All of those things, I think, are additive to what we are trying to do. And I can't point to a particular one. I can tell you that everybody on the coast, all the legislatures, help each other. So if I have a project in Coos Bay like my rail, I know that I've got 9 other people who are going to support getting that done. And if we have a problem up in Warrington, one of the things that came out here was a fish plant that burned a few years ago with Pacific Schoolfoods. Oh. They know that every one of us is going to help Warrington get a way to get the resources necessary to get their thing back. And we built a new canning processing plant with the city of Brookings, down in Brookings. We've got the Coastal Caucus, along with the other people, got dredging materials and dredge stuff for our coastal ports. this is one more way of making that additive and to get people to work together and say, we can't think just about ourselves. We've got to think about our neighbors and everybody else. And I think this solidifies that and helps make that grow even stronger.
There's power in that.
There is power in that.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
for
It's really
coming
great.
and joining us. Thank you for
appreciate it.
doing this. We
Yep.
certainly appreciate it. And we appreciate you watching. This is Senator Arnie Roblan. I'm Dana Cowley, and this is Charter Local Edition Northwest.